Donald Trump has built his entire brand on being untouchable, always the one dishing out the insults, never the one taking them. But recently, something happened that he didn't see coming. For the first time in years, Trump looked rattled, off balance, and even silenced. And the person responsible wasn't Joe Biden or a rival Republican, but California Governor Gavin Newsom, who managed to beat Trump at his own game. It started small, almost playful. Gavin Newsom didn't come at Trump with long speeches or carefully worded policy attacks. He came with memes, jabs, and short, sharp insults tailor-made for the digital age. He mocked Trump's rallies for looking half-empty, teased him for being stuck in the past, and even reposted Trump's own rants with sarcastic captions that cut deeper than any cable news panel ever could. And here's the kicker, Trump noticed. For a man who thrives on being the loudest voice in the room, nothing stings more than being turned into a punchline. Newsom knew that, and he leaned into it. Every post was designed to feel casual, off the cuff, and almost gleeful, like a younger guy dunking on an older rival who just couldn't keep up. And it worked. Trump, who almost never changes his behavior for anyone, suddenly stopped his signature all-caps online shouting. For the first time, it looked like someone had cracked the code to getting inside his head. But this wasn't just a social media spat, it was the beginning of something bigger. Because the more Trump fumbled to respond, the more people began to wonder if Newsom was quietly auditioning for the role of Trump's ultimate foil. At first glance, it might look like Newsom was just having fun online. But when you dig deeper, his strategy becomes clear. Newsom wasn't just mocking Trump for laughs, he was framing himself as the opposite of Trump in every possible way. Where Trump was loud, Newsom was sharp. Where Trump raged in long, angry paragraphs, Newsom sliced through with one-liners that went viral. It was calculated. Newsom's goal wasn't just to troll Trump, it was to test drive how he might look on the national stage. Could he stand up to Trump the way few Democrats had? Could he make Trump look old, tired, and out of step with a new generation? Every clapback, every meme, was part of a bigger audition, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. With speculation swirling about whether Newsom might one day run for president, this back and forth wasn't just about bruising Trump's ego. It was about planting seeds in the minds of millions of Americans who were watching closely. Here's where things really took a turn. Normally, Trump thrives on these fights. He loves to escalate, to drag opponents into long public feuds where he always gets the last word. But this time was different. After Newsom's posts started to gain traction, Trump went quiet. No all-caps rants. No marathon threads on social media. Just silence. And for Trump, that silence spoke volumes. It signaled that Newsom's approach was working. Because when Trump ignores an opponent, it usually means he doesn't want to amplify them. But in this case, staying quiet made it look like Newsom had shut him down completely. For a man who built his image on being the toughest guy in the room, nothing looked weaker than backing away without a fight. People noticed. Commentators started pointing out that Trump seemed off his game, and for once the headlines weren't about Trump controlling the story. They were about him losing control of it. And that's exactly what made this moment so unusual, and so dangerous for Trump's image. If you want to understand how powerful this clash really was, you have to look at the battlefield where it played out, the internet. Trump has always relied on raw energy, rallies, speeches, his ability to dominate headlines. But memes, quick, viral content, that's a different world. And it's a world Newsom understood. Instead of long-winded takedowns, Newsom weaponized humor. His posts were short enough to screenshot, funny enough to share, and sharp enough to sting. Younger audiences who don't usually engage with politics ate it up. Suddenly, Newsom wasn't just a governor in California. He was a trending topic online, and for reasons that made Trump look bad. The meme war wasn't just entertainment. It was a reminder that in today's politics, perception matters more than policy. And by beating Trump in the meme game, Newsom proved he could reach audiences Trump has always struggled with. Younger voters, digitally savvy viewers, and people tired of Trump's same-old playbook. So why should anyone outside California care about this? Because what we saw here was a preview of a much bigger fight. If Trump wants to reclaim the White House, he'll have to face opponents who know how to use modern media just as effectively as he does, maybe even more so. And Newsom showed he's willing to play that game. For Democrats, this was a test. They've often been criticized for being too slow, too polite, or too scripted when facing Trump. Newsom's approach was the opposite. It was fast, biting, and designed for the platforms where Trump has always dominated. If more Democrats follow this path, Trump could face a battlefield he's not prepared for, one where insults don't scare opponents but bounce back harder than ever. And let's be clear, Trump hates losing control of the narrative. Watching it slip away to someone younger, sharper, and more digitally fluent, that's not just a bad look, that's a warning sign for his campaign. Trump has built his brand on strength, the tough guy who never backs down. But this clash with Newsom revealed something rare: vulnerability. Because what rattled Trump wasn't a legal case or a scandal. It was mockery. It was the feeling that he'd become the punchline instead of the punch thrower. That's the weakness few people talk about. Trump can handle political attacks, but he struggles with ridicule. He doesn't know how to laugh it off, and he doesn't know how to ignore it. And that's why Newsom's approach was so effective. It struck at the one thing Trump can't stand: looking weak in front of his audience. For Trump's opponents, this was a lesson. You don't always have to go after him with policy or scandals. Sometimes the most effective weapon is humor, the kind that makes people see him not as a strongman, but as someone who can be outsmarted and outplayed. The big question now is, where does this go from here? For Newsom, it's a win no matter what. He boosted his profile, proved he could go toe-to-toe with Trump, and carved out a lane as one of the Democrats' sharpest fighters. Even if he's not running for president anytime soon, he's positioned himself as a major national player. For Trump, though, the consequences are trickier. Every time he ignores Newsom, it looks like he's running scared. But every time he responds, he risks being dragged back into a fight he can't win. It's a lose-lose situation, and that's exactly where Newsom wants him. And while this might seem like just a small feud now, it could be a preview of what's coming in the bigger political battles ahead. Because if Trump can be rattled this easily, imagine what happens when the stakes are higher and the spotlight is even brighter. Donald Trump has always branded himself as the ultimate counterpuncher, the man who could dish it out and never let anyone get under his skin. But this feud with Gavin Newsom exposed a very different reality, one where Trump looked reactive, rattled, and unable to control the narrative. For Newsom, it was a political masterstroke. With just a few words, he managed to flip Trump's own tactics back on him, leaving the former president looking smaller and weaker than he wanted anyone to believe. And that's the real story here. It wasn't just about insults or late-night rants. It was about a rare glimpse into Trump's vulnerabilities, the cracks in the image he's worked so hard to project. If a single governor could throw him off balance with a few barbed posts, what does that say about how he'd handle the far greater challenges that lie ahead? One thing's for sure, this battle between Trump and Newsom isn't over, and if this exchange is any sign of what's coming, the next round might be even more explosive.